All right, let's give this a shot. Welcome to Livermore High School registration and your junior year, and what's going to be a great year for you and a lot of new options that you might have in the schedule that you haven't had before. So, I'm Mr. Fletcher. I'm going to walk through the process. I'm going to try and power through this pretty quickly because obviously it's not super entertaining, but I'm going to tell you right now before we even start this process, before you hit pause and move on to something else or tune out in your homeroom class, if you don't go through this process thoroughly and you come to me, Miss Mohammed or Mr. Taylor, in August after you get your schedule, don't tell me that you need to make changes if you didn't put in the effort on this side for this process, because we build our schedule, believe it or not, based on electives and a lot of our other courses, some of our AP classes, etc., based on the requests that you are making. So take this part serious, go through it, do the best you can. Miss Mohammed says I need to actually make it a little more entertaining, but I'm not going to talk to you in an Irish accent or do anything funky like that because that would be a little bit weird. So I'm just going to start the process. As you go to livermorehigh.com, you come to this main page, which you should be familiar with. And there's a Parent and Resources tab there. You guys are the class of 2019. So if you select that button, it brings you down here to a page that we actually have put some useful information in for you. And I would suggest very highly that you go through the junior course selection worksheet. If you go through that one, it's going to give you a page that looks like this. It's going to give you the opportunity to do some thinking ahead of time so that when you actually get to the process, you're not just going through this blindly. The other thing that's on here, which a lot of people may not recognize, is the course catalog. So if you look into the course catalog, it's actually very detailed. It actually looks very nice. It's got a colorful, shield and everything on the front. And then every single class we offer is listed through here. The prerequisites, who it's available for, what the description is. And so there's a lot of time and effort that has been put into that process. So take a little bit of time, make sure that you are comfortable with the selections you're making, and do know that you have until April 10th to make any changes if you want to come in and ask me questions or your counselors questions. Their emails are down here on the bottom. And truthfully, like I said 3 times already, put some effort into this and make sure that you are comfortable with the choices you make. Select on the registration process link. It'll bring you to a sign-in page. What you need to do for your sign-in page is you need to know your student ID. So I asked another student if I could borrow their sign-in page, and your user ID is your ID number. Find that on your student ID card if you don't know what it is by heart. And your password is going to be your birthday. The only thing I'll tell you about your birthday is its month, its day, and the year. If you have a month like March, you don't need to put a 0 in front of the 3. Just put the 3. And if it's the 9th, just put 3/9/2001 or whatever your year might be. Click the sign in. It'll give you the option to save the password. You probably don't need to do that. And then it'll bring you to a page where it will show your current schedule, your absences. But on the left-hand side, there's a class registration button. Select that button, and that'll bring you to the screen that you really need to spend a little bit of time focusing on. I'm not going to go through every single step on this page because that's a little bit redundant. I think you can figure that out. But if you read the wording, Miss Mohammed and I went through to kind of make sure it was clear and it was concise and able for you to figure out what's going on. So as you look to the right-hand side, there's a pencil. If you might remember, click on the pencil. What it'll do is it'll bring up a pop-up screen with potentially several pages of classes. What I think is the easiest is to select on the number tab, which puts most of the courses in an order that are easier to read and figure out what's going on. If you don't see the class you want, then you can look on the second page and it may actually be there. As a junior, you do have some options with the AP Lit or the AP Lang. You could potentially take honors or a regular class. So I don't know exactly what Stella's going to want to take. So for now, I'm just going to select the 2 English classes. If you look at the bottom before I selected those, that check mark was not a check mark. It was an exclamation point because I haven't done everything that I need, right? The 3 courses where it says 3 would be potentially if I take an AP Lang and then the B portion, and then I would also take the seminar, right? So that would be the 3rd. I wouldn't take an English 11A and 11B and then an English 11A honors. That wouldn't make any sense. So once you get the green check mark, you can move on. And that's going to be the case through all of these. So I'm not going to go through the social science, the 11th grade math. You probably should have an idea of where you're supposed to be signing up for those classes. The science, obviously, if you've taken the bio, if you do that worksheet, you may know that chem's going to come next or whatever your sequence might be. So take some time to go through that. The electives, obviously, within each department, there's going to be a certain amount of electives for you to take. So if you're interested in journalism, you can do the journalism, or even on those courses where you may not want to take an elective, you still have to select the no choices to get the green arrow. Otherwise, it won't let you move on. So I obviously don't have green check marks for all of these because I'm not going to go through them all with you right now, but the world languages, the VAPA has some, all of our electives actually, from the CTE department and the VAPA department, and everything else is pretty robust, and we got a lot of options for you. Um, Electives for PE, there is an option here for you to take some human performance for those of you that are participating in athletics, but now as a junior you can take some other classes. I know dance and aerobics also. And if you don't want to do any, like I said, you still need to select the no choices button so that you can get that green check mark. The social science department is offering some new electives that you may not have known about in the past. There's obviously sports and society and some of the APs, but there also is the Korea and Vietnam, the history of, and the women in American history, plus the intro to Soc. So look through those, select the choices that you want, hit OK, and move on. As you get to the ROP program, there are a lot of ROP choices, several pages, but there's some really cool programs listed. Looks like there's 8. A lot of them you'll have to do a 3-try, an A, a B, and a C, because you can't just take one. And so make sure you go through that. And then when you're done, you want to count all of your classes, right? Maximum is 15. The minimum for you is going to be 12, depending on if you take 5 each trimester or not. And so you literally will go up here and count 1, 2, all the way through until you get to how many classes you have. And then when you're in that category, you just select, hey, I've got 12, 13, 14, or 15 classes, whatever it is. What that's going to do is plan your schedule. If you're one that only has 14 classes, they're going to ask you, which period do you want open? I'm a baseball player. I want no period 5 in the spring. And so that would be the one that I would select to plan if I'm only taking 14 classes. And so when you do that properly, you'll get the green check mark, and then an opportunity for your parents or guardians or whoever you're living with at home to kind of give it a once over and make sure everything's okay. And then once you've done that, you'll get the green check mark. You'll be ready to go. All of these will be green. You may have questions, but I think, like I said before, once you start this process, you have to go all the way through and submit it. Otherwise, these will not be saved the next time you come in. So put some time and effort into it. Make sure that you clear time on your plate so that you can get all the way through it. And then if you do change your mind before April 10th, come back, make a few changes, resubmit, and then they will be loaded into the computer so we can build the schedule for something that's going to reflect what it is that you want. So hopefully this was somewhat informative and helpful. And if not, just come by and ask a question, and I'll do the best I can to help you out. Thanks. Have a great day.